everyone, and welcome to skedLIVE. Today is November 22nd, and I'm your host, Fallon Hewitt, and this is what's making news now. The driver of a school bus involved in a crash that killed 5 children has been charged by Chattanooga police. Overnight, police charged 24-year-old Jonathan E. Walker with 5 counts of vehicular homicide, as well as reckless driving and endangerment. There were 37 children on board when the bus swerved off the road yesterday, wrapping itself around a tree and striking a utility pole. Police said that 5 children had died and more than 20 had been injured. According to WTVC in Chattanooga, the children were 3 fourth graders, 1 first grader, and 1 kindergartner. According to court documents, speed is believed to be the largest factor in the crash. 12 children are still in hospital. President-elect Donald Trump released a video Monday night outlining his plans for his first 100 days in office. In the video, Trump said he asked his transition team to develop a list of executive actions for when he takes office. Over the course of the 2.5-minute long video, Trump outlined his plans, which include withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, loosening restrictions on energy, and ethic reforms. Although he listed many of the things he pledged during his campaign, Trump made no mention of his more controversial pledges, such as building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border or repealing the Affordable Care Act. At the end of the video, Trump promised to provide more updates on the transition in the coming days. Trump also reassured the audience that these are just a few of the steps that will not only rebuild the middle class, but make America great again for everyone. Here's a clip of the video.
I am going to issue our notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores. On energy, I will cancel job-killing restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale energy and clean coal, creating many millions of high-paying jobs. That's what we want. That's what we've been waiting for.
Now here's Daniela Neves with the entertainment news.
Thanks, Fallon. Here's what you need to know in entertainment news. Kanye West is hospitalized and reported to be suffering from exhaustion after abruptly canceling the remaining leg of the St. Pablo tour. West walked off stage in Sacramento on Saturday night after being 3 hours late, performing only 3 songs and ranting about Mark Zuckerberg, Jay-Z, Hillary Clinton, and the media.
Season 4 race is coming. Get ready to have a field day, press. Get ready, because the show's over.
West went on to cancel his show on Sunday night in LA and filled his Instagram account with dozens of pictures of blurry clothes. Live Nation has announced refunds for all tickets for the 21 shows canceled, including Toronto's show on December 18th. Chance the Rapper was among some of the celebrities who voiced their concern and support to West. Neither West or his family have made any official statements about his hospitalization. In music news closer to home, The Weeknd takes over Toronto this weekend with his Starboy pop-up shop opening in Toronto. Toronto will also get 1 extra day of shopping, unlike most cities. The Weeknd will also host a fan appreciation pop-up on November 24th to start off the weekend. The pop-up will go on to open in Melbourne, Tokyo, and Berlin. The shop hits Toronto just in time to celebrate his 3rd studio album release, Starboy, on November 25th. The Canadian singer and songwriter will also be headlining in the iHeartRadio's first Jingle Ball in Toronto on the same day as his album release. The ball will take place at the Air Canada Centre and also include artists Headley, the Chainsmokers, and Niall Horan. The aftermath of the American Music Awards is filled with apologies. After her wardrobe malfunctioned on Sunday at the AMAs, Chrissy Teigen took to Instagram to offer her apologies. Teigen laughed off the incident after the slit of the gown bared more than she wanted while posing for photographers. Gigi Hadid followed in Teigen's footsteps by also taking to social media to apologize. After receiving backlash on social media for her parody of the future First Lady, Melania Trump, the AMA co-host posted a photo of a handwritten apology to those offended. For Nation, Two Brothers, One Vision by Rob and Doug Ford is released today. The book has the behind the scenes of Rob Ford's time as mayor, including his crack scandal and last moments in the hospital. Doug Ford, ex-mayoral candidate, uses the book to take aim at Premier Kathleen Wynne and looks ahead at his own future, which could include more politics. Doug will be at Indigo Yorkdale tonight at 7 p.m. signing copies of the book. Now switching over from written word to the silver screen, Canada will be celebrating its 150th birthday by watching the best homegrown films. On April 17, 2017, 150 free screenings of selected Canadian titles will be shown across Canada and in Canadian embassies across the world. Films will also be shown throughout various channels and streaming platforms including CBC, Chorus, and Bell Media. The French language films will be screened in Quebec and across Francophone communities in schools and libraries. Real Canada will also host an Indigenous Film Summit in Abbotsford, BC on March 6th and 7th with screenings, workshops, and a gala event for the community. The announcement was made by Real Canada, a non-profit organization. The major funding is backed by both the Canada and Ontario governments. In more movie news, November continues with its highly anticipated movie releases with Disney's Moana. The movie hits theaters tomorrow with an early release date in time for the American Thanksgiving. The animated musical adventure welcomes a new Disney heroine, voiced by Auli'i Carvalho. Moana stars one of the few female leads to not be titled a princess and goes against Disney's traditional romantic storyline. The film also includes Hawaiian demigod Maui, who is a culture hero and ancient chief. Maui is voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dave Chappelle, who recently hosted Saturday Night Live, will continue to appear on our screens with the release of 3 specials on Netflix. According to Wired, one of the new shows will be an original stand-up special produced for Netflix, and the 2 others are previously unseen gigs from Chappelle's own collection. The 3 specials are scheduled to be released in 2017. Sticking with Netflix news, the company released the trailer of Obama's biopic, Barry. The trailer shows Obama, played by Australian actor Devin Terrell, going through the struggles of most college students, not realizing that one day he would become the President of the United States. The biopic will be released on December 16th, just in time to watch with the family over the holidays. In other streaming news, Amazon is looking at breaking into sports world soon and could become a major competitor to Netflix and other streaming sites. We'll head over to Sport Enthusiast Joe for that story and more sports news.
Thanks, Daniela. Amazon is exploring a move into yet another market by offering a live sports package. The e-commerce mega company has been in talks with major leagues such as the NBA, NFL, and MLB, as well as soccer, lacrosse, and surfing leagues for the rights to stream live events. With certain leagues, including the NBA, Amazon has previously talked about making an exclusive premium sports package included with their Amazon Prime program, though details are still unclear. Amazon Prime currently offers users on-demand movies and TV shows, but offering a sports package could put them ahead of competitors. Toronto and Montreal's eternal sports rivalry continues tonight with the opening game in the first leg of the MLS Eastern Conference Finals. The game is expected to be the biggest between Toronto FC and Montreal Impact ever, with 60,000 fans packing into the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The stakes are high for the two teams, as the series winner will become the first Canadian team to get to the MLS Cup final game on December 10th. Last year, Toronto lost 3-0 to Montreal in the knockout round of the playoffs. You can check the game out on TSN tonight at 8 p.m. The Toronto Blue Jays aren't giving up yet on re-signing free agent Edwin Encarnacion. A week ago, Encarnacion and heavy hitter Jose Bautista rejected qualifying offers for $17.2 million from the Jays. The Jays later offered Encarnacion a deal of $80 million over 4 years. Despite offering Encarnacion the 4-year deal, Toronto signed free agent Kendrys Morales to a 3-year, $33 million deal, but say they would still like Encarnacion on the team. The 33-year-old designated hitter is coming off a 42 home run season with the Jays, with a career-high 127 runs batted in. One day after their upsetting loss to Sacramento, Toronto Raptors are disappointed yet again after losing to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Raptors had won the previous 4 games played against LA, but their success ran out with a 123-115 loss yesterday. The game got off to a shaky start with an uncharacteristic 10 turnovers in the first quarter. The day before, the Raptors and the Sacramento Kings scored a combined 64 points in the opening quarter, but this game showed both teams being hard on defense with only 42 combined points. Toronto's next game will be against the Houston Rockets at the Toyota Center in Houston at 8 p.m. Heading over to football, the Oakland Raiders ended a successful trip to Mexico last night, beating the Houston Texans 27-20. Quarterback Derek Carr led the way for the Raiders' offense, throwing 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. Oakland had been struggling through the first 3 quarters, with Carr finding few open receivers downfield. In the fourth quarter, Carr flipped things around suddenly and landed the Raiders their 4th straight win for the first time since 2002. What was originally scheduled to be a home game for Oakland became the 2nd regular season game ever played in Mexico. The largely pro Raiders crowd of 76,000 went wild when Oakland drove 85 yards in 5 plays to take the lead and win the game on a 35-yard pass to star receiver Amari Cooper. With the Champions League group stage entering its final 2 rounds, teams will be fighting fiercely for qualification. The struggle to gain a better position is over, and now the race to ensure qualification, and for some teams the battle for top spot, begins. Groups E through H begin games against each other today at 2:45 p.m. Some of the key games to keep an eye on will be Copenhagen versus Porto, Leicester City against Club Brugge, Dinamo Zagreb versus Lyon, and Monaco against Tottenham Hotspurs. That's all for sports. Now back to Fallon.
Thanks, Joe. CBC has reported Dylan Millard's ex-girlfriend, Christina Nuga, has pleaded guilty in order to reduce her charges for her role in covering up evidence in the 2013 murder of Ancaster resident Tim Bosma. Months after she first appeared at the Bosma trial, Nuga appeared in Ontario's Superior Court in Hamilton today in what was to be the start of her trial on being an accessory after the murder. Instead, she entered a guilty plea on a reduced charge of destroying evidence and obstructing justice. The guilty plea on lesser charges avoids what had been set as a 3-week trial. She had previously pleaded not guilty. Toronto police have arrested the driver after an early downtown crash this morning. The crash happened this morning at the intersection of Church and Wellesley Streets around 1 a.m. According to reports from CP24, a pickup truck struck a pole while attempting to avoid a collision with a garbage truck. Both the driver and another woman were taken to hospital. Their injuries were reported as non-life-threatening. People suspect the woman operating the vehicle was impaired. The third suspect identified last week in connection with the beating death of Julian Jones outside a Little Italy bar earlier this month has turned himself in. In a media release issued last night, Toronto police confirmed the suspect was in custody and had surrendered with his lawyer to officers at 14 Division. 28-year-old Andrew Christopher O'Brien has been charged with second-degree murder. He appeared in court this morning. Nova Scotia and Ottawa have reached an agreement that will allow the province to keep its coal-fired electricity plants beyond the 2030 federal deadline. The agreement comes after Federal Environment Minister Catherine McKenna announced the government's plan to omit coal-fired electricity plants by 2030. Despite the allowance of the plants, the province will be required to hit higher emission reductions in order to be on par with the closing of all plants. That means reducing 4.5 megatons of CO2 emissions after the deadline. As it currently stands, there is no timetable yet for when the plants will actually have to close. In Humber news, Starbucks has opened at the Lakeshore campus. Sam Layden is there with the latest.
Thanks, Fallon. As you can see, I'm right in front of the Humber's latest edition, which is a fully functioning Starbucks. It was pretty busy here this morning, but it's dying down now, but it does feel like a real Starbucks. People are working on their things here at the tables. Baristas are making good conversation with customers. If you'd like to see the entire store and our special video on it, you can check out our YouTube channel. And but for now, let's check out some business technology news with Kabrina Robinson.
Thank you. With Black Friday just around the corner, outdoor gear store Patagonia announced on Monday that they will be donating 100% of their Black Friday sales to grassroots environmental groups. The company has estimated sales for that day to be well over $2 million. This is not the first time that Patagonia has made large donations to the environmental organizations. They have been donating 1% of their daily global sales to environmental groups. Lisa Pike-Sheehy, Vice President of Environmental Activism at Patagonia, told CNN that the decision came in light of the recent U.S. presidential election. She said, quote, "This is a difficult and divisive time for our country. I believe the environment is something we can all come together on. Environmental values are something we all embrace." Patagonia's Black Friday donations are expected to go to a large network of nearly 800 organizations in the U.S. and across the world. Canadian stocks have advanced to their highest level in 17 months. According to the Globe, this comes after continued optimism about natural resources and a rebound in the price of gold. Over in foreign exchange, the Canadian dollar rose 0.55 of a U.S. cent against the greenback to close at 74.55 cents U.S. Wynn Mobile revealed yesterday that a rebranding process is underway. The mobile company will now be under the name Frida Mobile. Wynn CEO Alec Christojeff said that the rebranding is an effort to move away from the lingering baggage associated with its brand. Christojeff says the rebrand also aims for likability, with a teddy bear mascot named Freddy, along with a new upbeat jingle. All plans will remain in place despite the new change. Wynn customers will have access to LTE services, a step up from the company's current 3G network. These LTE services, however, will come at an increased cost. The new services are expected to take effect on November 27th first in Toronto and Vancouver before spreading to other locations across Canada. 2 Costco directors have been charged with professional misconduct for allegedly accepting kickbacks when buying drugs for their pharmacies. The Ontario College of Pharmacists stated that the accused, Joseph Hanna and Lawrence Varga, contravened a provincial law when the unlawful rebates from as many as 5 drug companies were accepted by Costco. The college have not specified the amount of improper payments Costco allegedly took from the 5 pharmaceutical companies. However, a complaint from one of the drug makers accused the retail chain of attaining nearly $1.3 million in unlawful rebates from his company alone. A disciplinary hearing is yet to be scheduled, and none of these allegations have been proven. Costco spokesperson Ron DeMani said, "We are confident that the pharmacists Mr. Varga and Mr. Hanna have acted appropriately in accordance with current Ontario guidelines and regulations. The investigation into this case is still underway." Lufthansa, the largest airline company in Germany, have canceled 876 flights scheduled for Wednesday due to a 24-hour strike by its pilots. Lufthansa have stated that around 100,000 passengers will be affected by the 876 out of 3,000 flight cancellations. The strike is the 14th to hit the airline in its dispute with the Vereniging Cockpit Union. According to CNBC, pay talk between Lufthansa and the union broke this month, and the pilots have rejected calls by the airline for the dispute to be taken to a mediator. The union is reportedly calling for an average of 3.7% in pay for the 5,400 pilots over a 5-year period dating back to 2012. However, the airline has offered a 2.5% increase over the 6 years until 2019 as they try to cut costs to cope with increased competition from other lower-costing rivals. That's your BizTech news for today. Now back to Fallon with more news.
Thanks, Cabrina. The death toll of India's deadliest train tragedy since 2010 has risen to at least 146 as rescues called off searches yesterday. Sunday's train derailment in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh has renewed a cause for concern about poor safety on the underfunded, state-run network riddled with aging tracks and outdated rolling stock. A railway spokesman said the train carried 1,000 people traveling on reservations, but at least 700 more were estimated to have squeezed into the unreserved carriages. According to CBC, some railway officials told local media they suspected faulty tracks caused the derailment. A powerful earthquake shook Japan on Tuesday. The quake disrupted functions at a nuclear plant and generated a small tsunami that hit the same Fukushima region devastated by the 2011 quake. The magnitude 7.4 earthquake, which was felt in Tokyo, sent thousands of residents fleeing for higher ground and halted Japan's famous Shinkansen bullet trains on certain lines. There have been no reports of deaths or serious injuries hours after the quake hit at 5:59 a.m. local time. Now we have Daniel Plant with your weather.
Hi, I'm Daniel Plant with Skedline News. Right now it's 0 degrees. Today calls for a high of 4 and a low of -3. Hey, so what do you think of this cooler weather?
It's no words because from where I am, I'm from India. The lowest in winters is 30 degrees and here I am like in 0 degrees.
It's actually very interesting because a couple of days ago we were just wearing t-shirts and right now it's so cold and windy.
Oh, it's very cold. It's also very annoying. I am Jamaican and I think the weather here sucks.
Do you have any plans on keeping warm?
I'm trying to go for a good Black Friday shopping.
Inside and keep warm.
Ah, for the best. And break out those winter jackets if you don't have them out already. Today's forecast also calls for snow. Now let's send it back to the studio for our 5-day forecast.
Wednesday calls for a high of 2 and a low of 1 with increasing cloudiness and periods of rain or snow. Thursday will have a high of 5 and a low of 3 with a 70% chance of showers. Friday will be a little warmer with a high of 7 and a low of 0, but it also has a 70% chance of showers. On Saturday, we'll be back to cooler weather with a high of 4 and a low of -1 with cloudy periods. Sunday will be a high of 5 and a low of 2 with a mix of sun and clouds. That's all for the 5-day forecast, and now back to Fallon in the newsroom.
Thanks, Daniel. That's all for the news today. I'm your host, Fallon, here for Skedline. See you in January.